What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, the NBA regular season has come to an end. And before we could get into the exciting world of the NBA playoffs, we still have one more phase of basketball to go before we get to that stretch. A long stretch, an interesting stretch, a competitive stretch, a game-changing stretch. But we still have to go through the NBA play-in tournament. Some of the more exciting games you'll probably see, as it is pretty much do or die for a lot of the teams in there. And it's going to help determine who those first and second seeds of both conferences will face in the NBA playoffs. It's a chance of a lifetime. A team that might need that experience can get that experience. A team that maybe had some bad fortune in terms of injuries can walk right in there and make it a competitive scene for the first seed and the second seed. It really all comes down to this. For a lot of teams, it is do or die. You got to make it out. Who's going to make it out? Let's talk about it in this video. This is my prediction of who I think will make it out. But before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you are new. And let me know what you guys think about the playing tournament teams. Who do you think's walking out? Who do you think is going to, I guess, pull it off? It's going to be an interesting turn of events. We'll start off with the Philadelphia 76ers and Orlando Magic game. The reason why I'm going to start off with this one is because I want to discuss the 7th and the 8th seeded teams first, because whoever loses that game will get the double chance, and that is very important. So Philadelphia is a team that, due to unfortunate circumstances, I guess you could say, has put themselves in the play-in tournament. Joel Embiid injured again. Paul George suspended for 25 games with an unknown substance that he took, or he knows, but he's not going to tell us. And just a plethora of young talent trying to step up on behalf of those two guys. Now, again, they have a beautiful mixture of young talent and veteran pieces. And ultimately, when Joel Embiid is healthy, this is still his team, and he still runs this with an iron fist. But ultimately, that was always the big question with the Philadelphia 76ers. Can you actually bring Joel Embiid into the playoffs healthy? Well, he looks relatively healthy enough. He's got good rest, and they have to survive the play-in tournament. Unfortunately, they didn't do very well with him out of the lineup and Paul George, so they put themselves in this situation. Before the injury, before Paul George's suspension, I'm pretty sure they were in the top 4 in the Eastern Conference. You look at the Orlando Magic. I mean, they're known for their defense. You expected with the Desmond Bane trade that they would just elevate their offense to a whole new level. Instead, in many ways, they've kind of taken a backseat in both ways, both defensively and offensively. But they're still good enough to shut any team down on any given night. And especially in the NBA playoffs, when those motivations are heightened and those players have a heightened sense, I expect them to actually do quite well in this sort of do or die situation. But my issue is with the Orlando Magic, I don't know if their star power is anywhere near close to the Philadelphia 76ers star power. I think if you go based team per team, Orlando has a more balanced team, and maybe that is enough to get you out of that play-in tournament game against the Philadelphia 76ers. But I don't know anyone on that team is going to truly stop Joel Embiid. And if you can't stop Joel Embiid, you're not going to be able to stop Maxey. You're not going to be able to stop Paul George. You're not going to be able to stop the whole bunch of other guys on their team, in my opinion, because Joel Embiid would just cause so much attention. Double teams will be thrown. Triple teams will be thrown. And it just creates space for everybody else to execute. And I do think they have a good enough squad to execute. So my personal answer is I think the Philadelphia 76ers will win this game and will face the second seeded, I believe it's the Boston Celtics, if I'm not mistaken. They'll be facing the Boston Celtics in that series. And I think that's going to be one heck of a series. These two teams know each other very, very well. And it should be an entertaining one, to say the least. It's not the same Boston team that we all know and love, but this is also not the same Philadelphia 76ers team that we all know and love. So, what an interesting turn of events. Then we've got the Charlotte Hornets and the Miami Heat. So are we going to go with the new blood, or are we going to go with that experience? Miami have been in the play-in tournament ever since its probably inception. Really, it's kind of been in that magnitude for them. Ever since its inception, they've pretty much been there. So they've been and done this. They know how to do this. They know how to perform in a play-in tournament environment. The Bulls could never get past the Miami Heat in a play-in tournament game. When the play-in tournament switch happens, they turn into a different team. And you can tell because even when they make it out of the play-in tournament into the playoffs, they're quite competitive with every team that they face. They may not win the series, but they bring a competitive series. But you got this new-blooded Charlotte Hornets team. A team that when they have made the play-in tournament has failed miserably in every single way. I don't think they made it out of the play-in tournament, but the games that I remember them playing, they got battered in those games. But this is the new-blooded, new fresh look Charlotte Hornets. They've got a Rookie of the Year candidate that has performed massively well for them. LaMelo Ball has taken a massive leap in terms of statistics, and I don't even think that was possible because he's just an amazing player. They've got depth that I think a lot of teams would kill for at the moment. Brandon Miller is still someone that's on that team that no one really talks about, but is just casually minding his own business and doing his thing. Kobe White off the bench for that team. Recently acquired, averaging 15 points, has proven to be quite a decent defender for them as well. They have talent in that team. They have experience in that team as well now with Kobe White. Kobe White is a play-in tournament master in his own right. He dropped 40 plus points one time in a play-in tournament game. So they could have something like that to lean on. But it really is experience versus inexperience. Who would you rather go with? Look, I think it's about time that we actually see a little bit of change in terms of the play-in tournament. I think it's about time we don't see the same team to walk out of it either. So with that being said, I'm going to go for that inexperience. It's their home game. They've had a very good stretch towards the end of the season. They beat some really good teams, and they were the surprise of the season for me. I'm going to pick the Charlotte Hornets to beat the Miami Heat, which will take Miami out of contention. Unless Bam drops 83 points in a play-in tournament game, the Heat will not win this one. I'm not going to predict it. I guess I am predicting it. I'm not going to confirm it though. That would be my opinion. Unless Bam goes off, which is possible. I don't think they really have anyone to stop Bam, to be honest. But if Bam doesn't go off, then I really think Charlotte will walk away with the win. I just think they have a little bit more depth to their team than Miami at this current point. But Miami is still a very good team, and they can turn it on at any given time. Which will lead Miami to face the Orlando Magic. No, it wouldn't. It would leave Charlotte to face the Orlando Magic. And I find this a little bit more of a balance compared to Philadelphia. Again, I know LaMelo Ball's an amazing player, but if there's anything that the Orlando Magic do have, it's lockdown defenders in the guard positions. So I expect that to be one heck of a show. I think this is going to be an annoying game for both teams, but this is where I do see the Orlando Magic walking into the NBA playoffs. I feel like a team like Orlando, there's only really experienced just a taste of the NBA playoffs. They'll be desperate enough. Whereas Charlotte, they're fighting from an underdog position at the moment. And in that underdog position, yes, they could be desperate enough to make the playoffs. And I would love nothing more than Charlotte to make the playoffs. I think a team like Charlotte needs it. They need it. They need that experience. They haven't had that experience, and they need that experience. LaMelo needs a playoffs. Guys like Knoppel need a playoff. He needs them. That's what makes players as good as they are, having a taste and wanting more. And if you don't have a taste, you'll never know what you're missing. So I still think Orlando, because they've had that taste and had that experience, they're going to want a little bit more than a Charlotte Hornets. And I do think their team balance will be a little bit better. They are going to make the NBA playoffs, in my opinion. So the 7th and 8th seed will walk into the NBA playoffs. We've got Orlando facing the Detroit Pistons, two teams that 2 years ago were not very good, will now be in the first round of the NBA playoffs, in my eyes. And Charlotte will get eliminated. I think it'll be close. Heck, I think we're going to all give a standing ovation to Charlotte by the end of this. I really believe that, because they're going to fight. They're not the same team that got battered a few years ago in the play-in tournament. They're going to fight for it, and we'll see if they can walk out. We'll see. I'm rooting for Charlotte. They're my pick to actually. I want them to win. I just don't think they will. We'll move to the West. The West is, I think, a little bit tougher to call. We've got some inexperience in there, but we've also got some very experienced teams that have been around the block quite a few times, quite a few number of years. So we'll start off with the 7th and 8th seed, which would be, I need to find it real quick. It's going to be the Phoenix Suns versus the Portland Trailblazers. Now, if we're basing it on regular season form, I feel like Portland has had a better end to the season than the Phoenix Suns. I watched some of the Phoenix Suns games when they traveled out east. They versed a couple of teams out east, and I wasn't very impressed with them. Even when they faced the Bulls, we actually took a game from them, and it just wasn't that impressive. It felt like it was a one-man show offensively. Maybe Dylan Brooks comes in every now and then and has a good game on the offensive end. And defensively, they're quite reliable, but it just wasn't really a team that I think had their stuff together. And you look at Portland, the only issue I have with Portland is just their massive plethora of inexperience. Their coach, Tiago Splitter, has done an incredible job. Those players have ultimately surprised a lot of people. They've always been in games, and whether they win or lose, they are very competitive. So in this situation, you have to ask, do Phoenix have their stuff together? Because if they have their stuff together, they should win this game against Portland. But I personally don't think they do. I think they have kinks they need to figure out. And I think it's Portland that actually has their stuff together. Now it's just about for whether or not Portland actually believe that they can win in this game. Again, they're an inexperienced bunch of players. And with inexperience may come lack of belief. So if their coaching staff can instill that belief in them in this game, I value their chances more than Phoenix. But that's the ultimate question. I really don't know who's going to win that one. But I am going to pick the Portland Trail Blazers. I also am going to pick them for selfish reasons because I want them to make the NBA playoffs, because if they do, the Bulls get their pick. And there's nothing more right now I want than the Portland Trail Blazers pick. Maybe aside of getting it to the top 4 for our pick. But that's what I want. And I'm going to bank and believe and trust in the Portland Trail Blazers to give me what I want and give the entire Bulls fan base what they want. We'll see. At least they have a double chance. So if they lose, they can bounce back. So that leaves Phoenix losing the game and getting that double chance. But who would walk away with a win for the Warriors and the Clippers? So again, the Clippers, a good end to the season. I think towards the very end, they lost quite a few games, but I think the month of March and April, they went on a very good run of basketball. Kawhi Leonard playing at an unbelievable level. Darius Garland coming in and fitting in like a glove. Again, guys like Benedict Mathurin playing quite well. It's a new look Clippers team. A little bit of youthfulness to their team that they probably didn't have a few years ago. And a guy like Kawhi Leonard just ultimately becoming the leader of the team again. It does make a valuable difference in their team. And then you turn to the good old reliable Golden State Warriors. Draymond Green, Stephen Curry still doing their thing. They've got role players there that can knock down the three. The thing about the Golden State Warriors is you have to have Stephen Curry playing an amazing game to win. Because, as you know, there's no Jimmy Butler in that team, unfortunately. And the harsh reality of things is their depth is a bit questionable. It's not like the 2015 season where you had guys like Leonard Barbosa or Sean Livingston coming into the fray, or even Maurice Spates, guys that could come into the fray and just make a difference for you. You know, you got certain guys like Gary Payton Jr. or the second that can make a difference, but I think a lot of their bench depth is just unproven at that stage. So can the Warriors stop Stephen Curry? Or can the Clippers stop Stephen Curry? That's what it's going to come down to for me. And to be honest, I can't think of anyone that can stop Stephen Curry on that team. But even with that being said, I'm going to pick the Clippers. I feel like they've just had a much better run. Stephen Curry's coming off of an injury, and it might be a little bit too soon or a little bit too little too late. I don't know. But my gut is telling me the Clippers will win, which will lead to the Clippers versus the Phoenix Suns. I feel like these two teams don't really like each other at all. And I'm going to pick the Clippers again. I just don't... right now, I can't trust the Phoenix Suns. I really feel like they don't have their act together. I really feel like it. I don't know what it is. It could just be that random stretch of basketball was just a bad stretch. But for what I saw, I can't trust them. I could trust Devin Booker. I could trust, his ability to play make. He's still a decent playmaker, even if he is falling into that shooting guard position again. I just don't know. I can't trust their team. I don't like the way that they play. So, yeah. I think the Clippers will win again. I think the Clippers will go and make it out of the playing tournament. I think they're the 9th seed, yes? I feel like it's the 10th seed that hasn't had... yeah, they're the 9th seed. I think it's the 10th seed that never made it in. Or maybe that's changed. Maybe the Bulls... No, the Bulls didn't do that. Miami... Someone from the 10th seed, I think, made it recently. But anyway, it is what it is. So that leads to, we've got the Portland Trail Blazers that will be facing the second seed San Antonio Spurs. And then we've got the Clippers facing the OKC Thunder. Ultimately, that's how I think it will happen. Both those teams will get eliminated in the first round if everybody's healthy. So, yeah, it is what it is. But I think a team like Portland could very much value playoff action. And the Clippers, I just think they've on a bit better run of form. I'm losing my mind a little bit. I'm going to end the video here. I've been talking for too much. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Maybe I'll take a day off tomorrow because in 2 days' time, I can make the playoff predictions video. And we'll actually know who's making it out. I think it's tomorrow, whenever it is. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just keep making videos until you're sick of me. I don't really know. But I'll see you then, whenever it is. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care. And peace.